Hi, my name is Bailey and I've been crocheting for a very long time. I'm also a kindergarten teacher, so when I'm not at school, I am crocheting. I wrote a pattern for a round cat and I wanted to make a video on how to make the kitty cat. I have a lot of friends and family that have asked me, how do you even get started? And I usually send them YouTube videos, but now I can send them my own YouTube video. So this is the round cat. So cute. Very quick and easy to make. I've made one for each of my students so far this year and they really like them. You can also get really creative and do different assortments of the cat. Like this is a bee cat, I've done a unicorn cat, and I also did like an elephant with a trunk and ears. So I would say this video's for like someone that has picked up a crochet hook before, has chained, single crocheted, knows how to decrease, increase. I do explain those things in the video, however, it would be a little easier if you kind of knew what that was before you watched, but I think you could figure it out without knowing those things. But again, I'm not sure. This is my first tutorial video, so maybe that is some feedback that I can get. If you do make the kitty cat, I really want to see a picture of it. Even if you think it's bad, I really want to see it. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so what we're gonna use is obviously my pattern. I use a 6mm hook. I recommend a 5 if you're really not sure what to use. A sewing needle, stitch marker, the body color you want to use. I'm going to use gray today, and then our pink yarn is going to be for the little nose. You're also going to need safety eyes. I use the really cute ones that you can change the colors. I have 18mm right here, but you can use 20 or whatever size that you would like. And I also forgot to say you're going to need stuffing, obviously, and scissors. All right, we need to make our ears first because that's something we sew directly into the body of the kitty cat. So we're going to start off with a magic circle or a magic ring. I make mine like this. And then you tighten it. We're going to single crochet 4 into the magic ring. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you can take this end and go ahead and tighten it. Okay, now I'm going to do an increase and then single crochet 2 times. So the way you increase is, here's my first loop I'm going to work into right here. I'm going to go in with 1 single crochet, and then in that same loop my second single crochet. So that's an increase. And then my next one right here, I'm going to just do a single crochet, and then now we're going to do our increase, and then a single crochet. And now we're back to like the beginning. On the next row, you're gonna do that 3 more times. So an increase and then a single crochet, and then you do that 3 times. So increase, 1, 2, and the same, and then a single crochet, an increase, and then a single, and then another increase, and another single. Okay, and at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and fasten off this back end here. So what I do is I pull, make sure it's tight. I'm just gonna put my hook in here. I'm gonna grab it and just like knot it so that it is secure. Then I'm going to flip this back so we can get back to working. Okay, now I'm going to do an increase and then single crochet. I'm going to do that 2 more times. Here's my increase. Here's my single. Here's my increase. And my single. So if you don't want to go by rows in my pattern, I also wrote that you basically do an increase and then a single crochet. You do that 7 times. So if you'd rather just do 7 and not go by row, that's what I do. Now we're going to just single crochet around it looks like 37 times. So 1, 2, so that little piece that we secured on the inside, I'm just gonna cut off a little bit. Okay, so this is our first ear. Because we're sewing it into the body, we don't need to leave a long tail. Normally you would for sewing it on, but since we're sewing this into the body, we don't need a long tail. So I'm just gonna cut it off a little short. And then I'm gonna just fasten off. So I'm gonna take my working yarn and go directly through the loop and just pull it tight. So this is our first ear. We need to make another one. So let's do our second ear together, just in case the first ear was confusing. Okay, so we're gonna do our magic ring. We're gonna do our magic ring. Okay. Okay, so we single crochet into the magic ring 4 times. And I'm not gonna work by rows this time. I'm just gonna do the increase and then single crochet. I'm just gonna do that 7 times. That to me is easier. So let's do our first increase. 1, single crochet. Okay, so that's our first one. We need to do that 6 more times. So increase, single crochet. So I did that 7 times. I'm going to fasten off this little baby piece. I'm just gonna find a random area to fasten off. I'm just gonna go ahead and cut it now. Okay, so we're done with the increase in single crochet rotation. So now we're just gonna do our 37 single crochets. So we don't need a long tail. So I'm just gonna snip that. And then I stretch it out a little bit just so it has that cat ear look. There's our second ear. Cute. We also do need to make the tail before we do the body because we're gonna sew the tail on the body. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with a magic circle. Okay, and a single crochet 6 times into the magic circle or the magic ring, whatever you call it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now you're gonna tighten it. Now we're just gonna do single crochet rows all the way around. In my pattern, I say to do it 10 rows. I'm lazy and I don't like to count, so I just go around and around and around until I feel like the tail is long enough for the body of my kitty cat. So I'm gonna go ahead. And since we're not increasing, you can see it's naturally forming like a cup, like it's curving. I'm gonna flip it inside out really quick so I can fasten off the other end of my yarn. I'm gonna tighten it, make sure it's tight. And just like we did for the ears, I'm gonna find a random spot right next to kind of where the yarn comes out. And I'm just gonna fasten it off. Not too short because it's gonna come undone, kind of like that. I'm gonna tuck this back in and flip it back out so I can continue to work on my tail. The tail might be tricky. It's a small area you're working on and you gotta make sure you're not skipping because if you do, it's gonna get smaller. Okay, so I like the length of this tail, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut my yarn. Again, we're crocheting this directly onto the body, so you don't need a long tail for sewing. That yarn through. For the cat body, we do need our stitch marker because we are gonna work in rows. We are gonna do a magic ring or magic circle to start. Tighten it. You're gonna single crochet into your magic ring 6 times. Once you have your 6, you're gonna tighten it. For this round, we're going to increase in every single crochet. So in my first one, which is right here, you can see it right there. I'm gonna do 2 single crochets in that first one. 1, 2, and then I'm gonna do that again for all the other ones around. So increase again, 1, 2, next one. I'm gonna use my stitch marker and I'm gonna mark right under where my hook is, so I know if I lose track where I need to be after the row. So this next round, you're gonna increase and then single crochet, 2 single crochets in that first one, and then we're gonna single crochet in the next one. You're gonna repeat that all the way around. So we're gonna do an increase here, single crochet here, increase here, single crochet. You just keep going all around. So increase, oops, single. Next one, we're gonna do a increase. So increase here, and then we're gonna do single crochet, single crochet. So increase, single, single, increase, 2 singles. And you're gonna do that all the way around. So let me do my increase here, 1, 2, and the same, and then my 2 single crochets as usual, increase. We're basically adding a single crochet every time, and because we're increasing, it's flat. For now it's flat, that's what we want. I'm gonna actually move my stitch marker as I go. I'm gonna go back up here, and then I'm gonna go ahead and fasten off this bit back here, just like we did with the ears. I'm just gonna find a random spot closest to the string and just fasten it off like that. And then I'm gonna take my scissors. I don't wanna cut it too short because it might come undone. So you do need to leave a little bit of a tail, as long as it's not gonna stick out of your project. The next round, we're gonna do an increase and then 3 single crochets. So increase in the first one, and then 1, 2, 3, regular. I'm gonna go ahead and go all the way around with that one. So this is what it should look like. Now for the next row, we're gonna do an increase and then 4 single crochets. So an increase, and then 4 regular single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're just gonna repeat that all the way around again. It should look like this. I'm gonna move my stitch marker up. So we just did increase and then 4 single crochets. Now for the next row, we're gonna do an increase and then 5 single crochets. So here's my, here's my increase in that first one. And then we're gonna do 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you repeat that all the way around. This is what yours should look like. And again, it's still gonna be flat because we keep adding those increases. If yours is curving up, I would just did our increase in 5 single crochets. So now we're gonna do increase in 6 single crochets. So let's do our first increase. 1, 2, and then my 6 regular. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And just like the other rows, you're gonna go all the way around. I ran into a manufacturer flaw in my yarn. Look at that. So I'm just gonna wanna make sure that's sticking out the back end of my project and not the front. Okay, that will keep it tucked back there, I think. Okay, so it's hidden. This is gonna be on the inside of the cat. This will be the outside, so I think we'll be okay. Just did our increase and then 6 single crochets. It should look like this, about the size of my palm, a little bit bigger. Now what we're gonna do for the next 2 rows is we're gonna just single crochet around. So do it single crochet, stop, single crochet, stop. Just 2 rounds, we're gonna do that. Finished my first single crochet row around. You're gonna see it's gonna start to curve because we're not adding our increases anymore. 1 more row of single crochets. All right, I just finished my second single crochet row, and look, it is really starting to kind of curve a little bit, but that's exactly what we want. I'm gonna move my stitch marker up. Okie dokie, now we're gonna start sewing those ears on. So I'm gonna take one of my ears, I'm gonna lay it flat. I'm laying it flat because I'm gonna be working through both sides onto the body. I'm gonna lay my ear down like this, and I'm gonna single crochet through the ear and the body at the same time all the way down. Take my hook, going through this and that, like that. I'm gonna take my hook and go through the body, so the next single crochet is right there. I'm gonna grab my yarn and I'm gonna single crochet just like I normally do. Okay, I'm gonna go through this side of the ear and the back side. I'm gonna make sure it's going all the way through, and then I'm gonna go through the body on the next single crochet. Okay, now the next one, I'm going through this side and this side of the ear. Make sure it's on both sides. Yep. Going through the body with that single crochet. I'm just going to do an extra one at the very end to be safe. So as you can see, our ear is fastened onto the body. There's no holes. It's on there securely. So our first ear is on. I'm going to single crochet 6 times onto the body for that space between the 2 ears. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Take my other ear, lay it flat just like before. Oops. I'm gonna go through both sides at the end here. Go through this one. And then go through the body. On that next single crochet, go all the way through. Make sure it's on both sides of that ear. Because if I only got one side of the ear and I didn't get the back side, there's going to be like a hole in my project. This is the body with both ears on. As you can see, there's no holes through the ear because we went through both sides. And then I'm going to just finish off by single crocheting the rest of the way to the stitch marker. I single crocheted all the way around. I'm back at my stitch marker. I'm gonna go ahead and put the eyes into the cat. Grab 2. I'm not gonna tell you what row to put the eyes on because if you used a 5mm hook, your project's gonna be smaller than mine, and the placement of the eyes just might not look the same. So I'm gonna leave it up to you where you're gonna put your eyes. Just something kind of have to just trial and error where to put them. Set up my eyes. I always start off by looking at the middle of the ear, and I'm going to put it kind of in this area, and I might space it out depending on what it looks like next to the other eye. Let's try here. I'm going to go on the same row as that eye, at least right there. I think that placement's pretty good because I'm going to have a nose in the middle. I think I'm gonna leave it right here. That was a good first try for that. So I'm gonna flip it over, take the safety bits of it, and snap it into place. If you are making this for a baby, do not use safety eyes. These could fall off and it could be a choking hazard. I would recommend YouTubing how to embroider eyes on with yarn if it's gonna be for a baby or a child, a young child. Or we need to make our nose, so we're gonna take our needle and our pink yarn. I'm just going to take a little bit of pink yarn, probably about that long. I'm going to tie it on the end of my needle. I'm going to start by working in the back, so I'm going to go through the back to the front. I'm going to find where I want one side of my nose to be. With embroidery and the eyes, it really is just trial and error. I could tell you a row and a stitch to put it in on, but again, if you used a different hook size, if your tension's different, it just would not, it probably wouldn't look right. So just trial and error. I'm gonna bring up the pink, put it across. Let's see how long I want my nose to be. This. I think that's pretty good. So I'm gonna flip it over, pull the string a little bit more, and I'm gonna tie this together so it's secure, so when I keep going, it doesn't fall out. That's tied. I'm gonna go back just like I did the first time. Take my hook, or my needle, go through here, and then go back through this one. And you're gonna wanna guide where the yarn lays, like it was trying to naturally kind of cut across. I want it to be straight, so I'm gonna use my thumb. Make sure it straightens out right under the first one. And you're gonna go in again. I might let this one lay on top of the very first, so I'm gonna guide it through. And you can do that how many times you want. The more you go, the more circular it'll become. I think I'm just gonna stop there. So my needle's in the back again. I need to make the little lip that goes down. So I'm gonna find a hole right around here to come up through and then back down through here. It's trial and error because it needs to be straight from the nose. So I mean, this might not even work out from where I have it. We're just gonna try it. So I'm gonna bring it up. And then I wanna hide it a little bit. So I'm gonna open that nose a little bit, find a spot there in the middle, and then go back through the back. I think that looks pretty good. I'm just gonna leave it like that. It is a little slanted, but well, I think it looks okay. I'm not too picky. Okay, so I'm gonna flip it back over and then I'm gonna tie it to secure it. Again, I'm gonna cut it off. So we have our face and our ears ready to go. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna continue the body. So you're gonna do 15 rows of single crochet because we need the body to be like that big. Really, you don't even have to do 15 rows. You can just keep going around. That's normally what I do. I just keep going around until I feel like the body's long enough, and you kind of just gauge how big you want your cat. Lay your ear flat back down so you can see. Oops. Yeah, so make sure these strings from the ears are tucked behind. I just finished my first single crochet row all the way around, and as you can see, because we're not adding our increases anymore, it's starting to curve out. So it curved out, and now it's just going to go flat this way as long as you just keep single crocheting around. So if you want to follow my pattern, you have 14 more to go after that first round. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. This is after I did all 15 rows. As you can see, the kitty cat has more body to her. I'm gonna have my tail handy, but we're not gonna need it yet. We're gonna start decreasing to close off the body here. It's gonna give like a little bit of a curved close off. So what we're gonna start off with is we're gonna do a decrease and then 6 single crochets. So the way I do my decrease is I go in my next loop. I pull my yarn back up. Instead of wrapping over and finishing the crochet, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hook and go into the next space, loop over, pull up. So I should have 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through. So that took two spots and made it into 1. So we decreased. Now I'm just going to single crochet 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now I need to do another decrease, so I'm going to put my hook through, yarn over, pull 1 loop up, and then I'm going to go into the next one, yarn over, pull loop through. I have 3 on my hook. I'm going to yarn over, pull through all 3. So that's a decrease. Then 6 more single crochets. Perfect. And then I'm going to decrease 6 single crochets, decrease 6 single, and all the way around until I get to my stitch marker over here. Back at my stitch marker, I'm going to do a decrease and then 5 single crochets. So let me decrease here. And then 5 single crochets. 1, and you're going to alternate that again all the way around to get back to your stitch marker. Okay, I'm back at my stitch marker. Now I'm going to do a decrease in 4 single crochets. So let me decrease. And then 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like the other rounds, go all the way around back to your stitch marker. Back at my stitch marker. Now for this row, we're going to attach the tail. I'm going to start with a decrease and then 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to decrease again and flatten it out. You're going to go through both sides. So I've got both sides there. And then I'm going to go through the body. Just make sure wherever you're sewing it, it lines up between the ears. So if I lay it flat here, it looks like it's going to line up. And now you're going to decrease again. And then 3 single crochets. So decrease and then 3 single crochets all the way back to your stitch marker. So now I'm going to do a decrease and then 2 single crochets. So there's my decrease. 1, 2. I'm going to do that all the way around. So you can see it's starting to curve in so we can stuff it and then close it up. I'm going to go ahead and start stuffing the cat. Make sure it's even on the inside. I might add some more before I fully close it, but just to get it mostly stuffed. So now I'm going to do a decrease and then 1 single crochet. So there's my decrease. There's my single crochet. And my decrease. I'm going to do that all the way around. If you look here, I'm back at my stitch marker. It kind of slants a little bit, but I'm going to be just doing decreases around. So this is where I would really need to make sure I'm done with my stuffing, because once I'm done here, I'm not going to have much room to stuff anymore. So I might add a little bit more. And I'm kind of like pulling the yarn, or sorry, I'm like pulling the stuffing to the sides because you want to make sure these sides are okay. I think that's good. I'm just doing decreases around. Try not to grab your stuffing with your hook. I still do it. It's hard. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to leave a longer tail to sew in. I'm going to fasten that off. So take your needle, and to really close it off, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here, just that. So this is a single crochet. If you went through here, I'm just going off the front loop. I'm kind of zigzag stitch or sew. When you pull it, it closes. So now I'm just gonna need to tie it on. So I'm gonna go through the loop, and then just like how you would secure it, you tie it like that. And I do that a few times because I'm paranoid. and sometimes my knot sticks up a little bit, so I just kind of sew it back in. That. Now I'm just gonna kind of go through some stitches just to weave my yarn in. Go, I guess back that way. Okay, that way if it loosens, it'll be okay. Cut that off. Take my stitch marker off, don't need that anymore. So this is our body, our kitty cat so far. We just need to make their little feet, and their little feet are gonna go boop, 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 boop. With our feet, we're going to do a magic circle or a magic ring, whatever you call it. And then you're gonna single crochet 6 times into that ring. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Now we're gonna increase in each stitch all the way around. So we're gonna do that 6 times because we just did 6 single crochets. So for every one of those single crochets, we increase. So here's my first one. I'm gonna do 2 single crochets. That's 1 increase. Next one, 2 increase, 3 increase, 4, 5, 6. Okay. I'm gonna flip this over and go ahead and secure this part right here so it doesn't come unraveled. Don't cut too close to the knot, it's gonna come undone. I'm gonna leave like an inch. And if you want, put a stitch marker here. Don't lose track. I'm kind of lazy and I just kind of wing it. But now you're gonna do an increase single crochet and you're gonna alternate all the way around. So our next one, we're gonna do an increase. So that's 2 stitches in the first one. And then a single crochet. Increase. Single crochet. Okay, back up the stitch marker. You can see it goes right there. Now I'm gonna do 2 rows of just single crochet rounds. So single crochet and then single crochet. Okay, we're back at that stitch marker. You are gonna leave a long tail for these because we are actually gonna need to sew them onto the body. So I'm gonna leave a tail about this long. I'm gonna secure it. Place our paws like this. So we need to make 3 more. I've got all 4 of my paws or feet ready to go, so I'm going to take my sewing needle. So I'm not going to stuff it yet. I'm not going to stuff the feet yet. I'm going to do that once it's kind of like close to being closed on to the body. Honestly, I just really wing the placement. I'm going to hold it here because I like this placement, and I'm going to I don't really know how to explain the sewing. It just takes a lot of practice. Honestly, when I started first making stuffies, I dreaded sewing on body parts. Like, it's the worst. So that's why I try to like make my patterns to where most things are like you can crochet the body parts on and it's no sew, but with this, it's a little unavoidable. Make sure it's still, the foot's puffed out a little bit, so. Okay, now we have a small opening. So before I close that off, I'm gonna go ahead and stuff it a little bit. Take just a little bit, stuff it in there, and lay it flat down so I can continue my sewing. Okay, so it's on. I'm gonna go ahead and knot my yarn so it doesn't come undone. I'm gonna take my needle and just sew in a few times, just at random places. So if it starts to come undone, it's gonna take quite a bit for it to like fully unravel. Now, cut that off. All right, here we are. Very good job on your kitty cat. I do have my pattern linked below. I did do it a little bit different in this video, so if you're following the pattern in the video, there might be a little bit of some difference as far as like putting the nose on and the stitch counting, but yeah, here we are. Very cute. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I hope that your kitty cat turned out really cute. If you're new to crochet, don't give up if it looks kind of wonky. It just takes a lot of practice, and it's definitely worth it if you keep up with it.